So how many leads and clients do you get from your website each month? According to industry studies, the average website conversion rate is less than 1%. But what if there was a way to boost your conversion rate from less than 1% to 5%, 10%, 20% or more without needing to pay a web designer or developer to completely redo your website? Well, in this video, I'm going to show you 9 simple tweaks you can make to your website that are guaranteed to massively increase your conversion rate. Starting with tip number 1, which is to stop relying on contact forms. So go to your website right now and ask yourself, how can people reach out to work with you? If your answer is only through a contact form, this is a big problem. Why? Because most people who visit your website for the first time are not ready to work with you yet. Why not? Because they don't know you, trust you, or like you yet. So what you need to do is bridge the gap. In other words, you need a way to take a stranger who visits your website for the first time into someone who likes and trusts you and would be interested in learning more about how you can help them. And the best way you can do this is with a lead magnet. So instead of having a contact form as your main call to action on your website, use a lead magnet instead. Now, a lead magnet could be a free guide, a checklist, a webinar, or my personal favorite, a video sales letter. It's a video that explains how to solve a big painful problem and why your solution is better than other alternative solutions that are out there. And if you'd like to see a real life example of this video in action, then just watch my free masterclass training and I'll leave a link in the description of this video. Now, when it comes to building relationships, it's worth keeping in mind that it does take time. So that's why when you give people this video or whatever other lead magnet you're using, you must ask for their name and email before they can access whatever free piece of content you're giving them as a lead magnet. This is so that you can send them emails in the future with helpful tips, advice, and valuable content. And the idea is that each email that you send them builds up a little bit more trust, makes them like you a little bit more, and over time you build up a relationship with your leads. So what's the result of doing all this? So for my business, when I first got rid of the contact form as my main call to action on my website and I replaced it with a lead magnet, I noticed that my conversion rate went from 1% to 20% almost overnight. Imagine if you could get 20 times more conversions just by making one simple tweak to your website. So if you're not yet using a lead magnet on your website, my recommendation is to simply test it out. Because even if you just get 2%, 5%, or even 10% more leads than what you currently are getting, this will still make a huge impact to your business revenue every year. My second tip to increase your conversion rate on your website is to have a pricing page. Now, I know what you're thinking. What if my prices are expensive? Won't a pricing page actually scare off customers? Or what if I don't have set packages? What if I need to speak to someone first to give them a custom quote? Well, first of all, a pricing page on your website doesn't necessarily mean you need to have packages. You could, but it doesn't mean you have to. All you need to do is talk about pricing and explain what could affect the price of your services. Second of all, a pricing page might scare off some people. That's true, but chances are it will only scare off the people that are not a good fit for you anyway. I mean, at the end of the day, do you really want to have a sales call with someone that just can't afford to work with you? If you do, you'll both just end up wasting your time. So with a pricing page on your website, what typically happens is that you actually attract more of the right kind of clients, and as a bonus, you even build more trust and authenticity with your leads. But what if you're thinking, how does a pricing page actually help me build more trust with prospects? Well, imagine you're looking to hire, I don't know, a web designer, for example. What's one of the first things you'll probably want to know? Well, apart from actually knowing if they're any good at what they do and looking at their portfolio, you'd probably want to know how much, roughly speaking, it's going to cost you. But what if you can't find any sort of idea of what their pricing is on their website? Do you think that will provide you with a good or a bad user experience? For a lot of people, it will frustrate them and provide a bad user experience. So talking about pricing will help you provide a good user experience, and more importantly, by being transparent and open with your pricing, you can build more trust with your leads. Since I introduced a pricing page on my website, I've had so many people over the years tell me that they really appreciate me discussing the pricing up front, as it shows transparency. And like I mentioned earlier, as a bonus, you also get better quality appointments with people who already want to work with you. Again, you don't have to use packages if you don't have any, but simply talking about pricing and discussing what affects the price of your services can help you boost the quality of your leads. And interestingly, the pricing page on my website is also one of the most visited pages of my site. And you'll probably notice the same thing in your business website if you decide to have a pricing page as well. My third tip is to have a client's results page. So one of the best things you can do to build trust and generate more leads from your website is to have a dedicated page on your website which showcases your client results, testimonials, and case studies. If you don't have any testimonials yet, then make it a goal to try to get some. One of the ways you can do this is after winning a new client, you can ask them in 3 to 6 months time to share their experience working with you. And you can even automate this using email marketing software. After they share their experience, if it's negative, this gives you some feedback on how to improve your services. And if it's positive, which hopefully it will be, then this gives you the opportunity to ask them if they would be open to leaving a review or writing a testimonial for you. In some cases, they may even be willing to record a video testimonial, which is probably the most powerful type of testimonial you can get. So make it your goal to get as many testimonials as possible and start posting them on your website. My fourth tip to get more leads and clients from your website is to have a blog. First, by having a blog, you can get leads for free from Google. Now, to do this, I don't recommend targeting very competitive keywords. For example, it would be very difficult for my website to rank for the keywords lead generation because of the high competition with this term. But I can rank for more specific keywords such as how to get financial advisor leads or how to get accounting leads or even how to target business owners on Facebook ads. This is because the more specific you are with your blog post, the easier it will be for you to rank for that term or that keyword. And as a bonus, these specific topics also tend to generate higher quality leads as well because you're showing up for a search result that answers exactly what it is that the person is looking for. And second, if you have a blog, it will help you build trust with your leads because people will see that you're not just a business that was started yesterday. If they see you've posted 50, 100 or more blogs over the years, they'll be more likely to believe that you know what you're talking about and that you've been around for a long time, which means you're not going to disappear anytime soon. All of which contributes to building up more trust and helping you get more conversions on your website. As a bonus, remember to send people from your blog to your lead magnet as you learned in tip 1 of this video. A big mistake that I see people make is they have a blog, but then they just have a call to action going to a contact page, and most of the time people are not ready to fill in this contact form. So again, be sure to send people to your lead magnet first from your blog if you want to convert as much traffic as possible into leads and into clients. My fifth tip to generate more leads and clients from your website is to identify anonymous website visitors. So there are actually tools that you can use to help you identify the anonymous visitors of your website even if they don't fill in any forms. However, there's a right way and a wrong way to do this. The wrong way is if you identify these anonymous website visitors and then you send an email saying something like, "Hey, I noticed you were browsing my website. If you have any questions about my product or services, feel free to reply back." This email can come across as creepy because it kind of sounds like you were stalking them online. Instead, it would be better to send them a cold email simply asking them if they want to watch a video you've recorded, which would be your lead magnet as mentioned in tip 1 of this video. By sending a cold email, it just looks like a random email that happens to get in front of the right person at the right time, even though you know that they're actually receiving the email because they were on your website. So it's kind of like when you're planning a vacation and you visit travel websites and then you end up seeing a lot of travel ads. This is a similar kind of concept, except instead of showing people ads, you're sending them a cold email. This one strategy on its own is a very powerful way to get anywhere from 5, 10, 20 to 30% more leads from your website. And if you use the same tool I use, it's super easy to implement this strategy. The tool I use is called customers.ai, and I'll include a link in the description of this video if you'd like to try them out for free. Once you've signed up for an account, all you need to do is copy and paste one line of code on your website, and it will start to identify the anonymous website visitors that go to your website, and it will start generating leads on your behalf and sending them emails again on your behalf with a link to your lead magnet. My next tip to generate more leads and clients from your website is to use chatbots. So when it comes to using chatbots, you can either use human or AI-driven chatbots to engage visitors the moment that they land on your website. Now, chatbots are a quick and easy way to provide answers to questions people ask about your services. And you can even use chatbots to get your website visitors' name and email, or in other words, to generate leads so that you can follow up with them in the future. The advantage of an AI chatbot is that they are able to help visitors even when you're not available. However, the downside is that they might not always have the right answer, user, which is when sometimes a human chatbot might be better. Either way, some kind of chatbot is a great way to convert more website visitors into leads and clients. My next tip is to optimize your website for speed. A study by Amazon found that just having 1 extra second of loading time can cost them $1.6 billion in sales. Now, I know we all don't have websites as big as Amazon, but the principles are still the same. Each second that someone has to wait for your website to load can cost you to lose money when visitors decide to leave your website. So a good rule of thumb is to make sure your website loads in 2 seconds or less. And you can do a quick Google search for free website page speed tool to test out your own website speed and see how you match up. So what do you do if your website is slow? Well, you could spend thousands of dollars on a web developer to help you optimize your website speed, or spend countless hours learning all the technical jargon needed to optimize your site speed. Or you could just do this the easy way and use an all-in-one website speed plugin. The one I typically recommend is called NitroPack. It's super easy to use. You just install the plugin on your website and it automatically optimizes all the pages of your website to get everything to load as fast as possible. And it's even free to use if you don't mind having a link on the bottom of your website going back to NitroPack. Otherwise, you can remove this link by upgrading to any of their paid plans. My next tip is one that I never thought I would actually use, and it's to use exit intent pop-ups. Here's the thing, I hate pop-ups, and I'm sure you hate pop-ups too. We all hate pop-ups, which is why I never wanted to use pop-ups on my own website, until I just kept hearing again and again about how much pop-ups can boost your conversion rates. So rather than being stubborn and say I'm not going to use pop-ups, I decided to test it and see what happens. And to my surprise, they actually worked. And they worked really well. Very quickly, I saw I was generating about 25% more leads, and this was on top of the leads I was already generating without the pop-up. Now, it's worth mentioning that I don't recommend using a traditional website pop-up. Notice that this tip isn't to use website pop-ups, it's to use exit intent pop-ups. There's a big difference. A traditional pop-up appears as soon as someone visits your website. An exit intent pop-up only appears if they move their mouse outside the screen to indicate they're about to leave the website. So it only happens at the end of their journey. And you can make it so that the exit intent pop-up also only appears after a certain amount of time. For example, on my website, I have a rule where the exit intent pop-up only appears after someone has been on my website for at least 30 seconds, or whenever their mouse leaves the website screen and it looks like they're about to leave. I also have another rule which stops the exit intent pop-up appearing multiple times if someone visits my website again in the future. Now, there are a lot of good exit intent pop-up tools that you can use, and if you're interested in the one that I use, it's called Poptin. I'll also include a link in the description of this video if you want to check them out. The point is, an exit intent pop-up is a lot less annoying and intrusive than a traditional pop-up. And the fact is, at the end of the day, the exit intent pop-up does work really well at helping you convert more strangers into leads. But remember, don't just have an exit intent pop-up sending people to a contact form. Like I mentioned in my first tip, you want to send them to your lead magnet instead. But what if you don't have much traffic going to your website in the first place? Well, that's why my final tip is to increase your website traffic. Here's the thing, it doesn't really matter how many of these tips you implement if your website doesn't get a lot of people going to it in the first place. You're just not going to get any new leads or clients. So it's important to use different marketing strategies to help people find your website in the first place and know who you are. So how can you do that? Well, I've recorded a video right here that shows you how. In this video, I go through the best ways you can start generating leads and attracting new clients in your business with my top rated lead generation marketing strategies. And you can do this using both free and paid lead generation strategies. Both strategies have their pros and cons, and in the video, you'll be able to learn the differences between each strategy and which strategy is likely to be best for your business. So tap the video that you see on your screen right now, and I'll see you on the other side.